Welcome to week 2 of my weekly NBA content where I just go over like the moves and the news and just some crazy stats that have happened throughout the week. In week 1, I guessed that Jimmy Butler and Russell Westbrook would win Players of the Week, but it was actually Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry. So I'm technically 1 for 2 right now, which is pretty good, you know. But some moves of week 2 that happened. The Brooklyn Nets waived Anthony Bennett and signed Quincy Acy. Anthony Bennett is a former number 1 draft pick, so it's really weird to see him get waived not even 4 years into his tenure in the NBA, but that's just how it goes. He wasn't a very good player. He probably shouldn't have gone number 1 overall, but yeah. Philadelphia signs Chasson Randle. I don't know if I pronounced his first name right, but picked him up. Denver picked up Alonzo Gee for a 10-day after cutting him 2 days before. Some things that I missed in week 1 were Atlanta waived Ryan Kelly, Dallas waived Pierre Jackson, and Orlando waived Arinze Onuaku. Some news that happened throughout this week. This was actually a kind of a big week in a news situation. Carmelo Anthony actually stated that he would waive his no-trade clause for the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Los Angeles Clippers. That was just according to Charlie Rose of Fan Rag Sports, but Dwayne Wade also said this week that he wasn't going to waive the no-trade clause no matter what, because earlier in the week, Carmelo Anthony was reportedly unwilling to waive his no-trade clause in any deal the Knicks may seek. So Carmelo probably won't be traded, but if he were to be traded to a team, apparently the only two that he would accept a trade for would be the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Los Angeles Clippers, which is interesting to me because imagine Melo with the Cavaliers or even the Clippers. You know, the Clippers needed a 3-guard. I think that would definitely boost him to at least number 2 in the West. Weird thing that happened with Festus Ezeli. On January 14th, Joe Freeman tweeted, "Odd scene in Blazers locker room. Before leaving, Festus Ezeli approached teammates and exchanged hugs, handshakes, like he was saying goodbye." That's really weird because Festus Ezeli hasn't really played that much for the Trailblazers. I know he's been injured for most of the season, but if he was ended up getting like cut or traded away, both of those are kind of sad to see because I kind of was looking forward to seeing how he would do on the Blazers. Some other news, these are like little smaller stories. The NBA is actually exploring possibility of adding team in Mexico City. Adam Silver says, coming to Mexico City would be a gateway to the rest of Latin America, which would be important for the league, which would be interesting. I know the NBA is trying to expand, but I don't really see players wanting to play in Mexico City. Maybe, I don't know if he's just saying that just because we had a few games in Mexico City, or if he's being completely serious, but we won't know for a couple years because they're not even looking to expand anyway. Other things that happened this week was Derrick Rose missed a game and didn't inform the Knicks about his absence. He ended up only getting a fine, and it was rumored to be family issues, and it was later discovered that he flew back to Chicago to be with his son. But he ended up missing a game. Nobody knew where he was. Joakim Noah said he talked with him and he was fine, but the Knicks only ended up fining him $200,000. Also, another news about Derrick Rose, he was seeking a max deal this offseason, which will make the rumors around him fun, honestly. Will a team shell out that cash, and will Derrick Rose actually go to that city, or will he remain with the Knicks, or he maybe even go back to Chicago? I don't think Chicago is really looking for Derrick Rose, but that's a possibility as well. More news with the All-Star voting. It hasn't changed at all since the first time it went around. Zaza is still in second for backcourt and West, which is crazy. He won't make the All-Star team, but the Georgian vote really is dominating this NBA All-Star vote. And also another interesting thing, DeMarcus Cousins promises to release an R&B album if he's voted to the All-Star game, which I think is awesome. I really think DeMarcus Cousins should be on the All-Star team for sure. He's a really, really good player, but just seeing an R&B album from him, that would be pretty dope. And also, the last remaining news, Dakota Smith, J.R. Smith's daughter, who I talked about last week, she is still fighting, which is great. And that's been it for the news for week 2. So I just wanted to give some crazy stats that happened this week. Shout out to the 20-year-old Devin Booker. He scored 39 in a W versus the Spurs and 39 in a loss to Dallas, and both of these games were in Mexico City. That was a really interesting road trip for the Suns, just because Devin Booker really went off. It's awesome to hear. Anthony Davis dropped 36 and 14 in a loss to the Bulls, and 40-18 in win over Knicks this week. Isaiah Thomas dropped 38 in a win over the Wizards, and 28 and the game winner versus the Hawks this week, which is really interesting because him and Dennis Schroeder actually had a lot of bad blood, and it was really interesting to see how this game would go out between them. Nothing really happened, but it was nice to see Isaiah Thomas get the game winner. DeRozan drops 41 in a win over the Celtics, and Harden dropped 40 in a win over the Raptors and 40 over the Hornets in a back-to-back. Now my suggestions for the player of the week in the West, the three that I have to see are Anthony Davis, James Harden, or Devin Booker. It's probably not going to be Devin Booker. If I had to guess between Anthony Davis and James Harden, I think it would be Anthony Davis just because he dropped 2 double-doubles and they were both pretty dominant double-doubles. But I could also see James Harden get it, but I'm going to say Anthony Davis just for my voting thing. And I wish Devin Booker could have got it because he did drop 2 really nice games, and he's only 20 years old. But he won't get it. They won't just give him Player of the Week just because he's 20 years old. In the East, I'd have to say it's either going to be between Isaiah Thomas or DeMar DeRozan. But honestly, I think it's going to be DeMar DeRozan. So my predictions are Anthony Davis and DeMar DeRozan. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And if you have any suggestions or anything, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.